Genevieve. Thank you.
Genevieve De Silva. Fantastic.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Genevieve. Hi, Carrie, is it Carrie or Marion?
Marion, yes.
Marion McKelly. Is it McKelly?
Meshali.
Mishali. Beautiful. Mishali, thank you so much. I got it. I think we're just waiting for one more person. Thank you so much for the time to join us. We know that you have a busy schedule, but thank you for honoring us with the last panel to conclude the day. So thank you so much. We're speaking youth at the forefront of sustainability. And so we'll open up with having all of you introduce yourselves, the distinctive organizations that you are in, and also just maybe 3 premises that we can use to kickstart the panel discussion. Yeah. So perhaps your premise could be based on what does it mean having youth as active participants in the forefront of sustainability? How can that benefit the economy? How can that benefit us, particularly in respect to the 2030 agenda, looking at local, national, and regional policies? But how can the youth be at the forefront of policy development? Okay. Awesome. Is everybody ready? We all good?
Yes, on my side.
Awesome. Hi, Boo, you're welcome. She's connecting. Hi, Boo, how are you? Okay, I think you're still on mute. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again to the Sustainability Summit 2022. I really hope you found the benefit of fruitful engagements that we've had thus far. Just to recap, we were speaking about infrastructure development with respect to smart cities earlier on. We then moved on to the ocean economy, and we further discussed issues around food security and food sovereignty with respect to agriculture. And truly, I hope these conversations are able to enable you as an organization, as an entrepreneur, as an individual that has agency to really, develop your life and also to prioritize capacity building in that respect. Last but not least, we're having our last panel for the day. Now we've looked at all these segments, but who are our key stakeholders? who are at the forefront of this implementation. We know that the youth make up 60% of Africa's population. That is very, very important. And also in the 60%, they are the most affected by issues such as unemployment, poverty, and so forth. A lot of social factors that are affecting us. So joining me in the last panel of the day here at the Sustainability Summit, we are talking youth at the forefront of sustainability. Please be active on our social media platforms, hashtag SUSWeek 2022, and also do visit our virtual 3D online exhibition. We're looking forward to announcing the winners. The more you chat, the more you engage, the more you win. And joining me is my esteemed panelists and guests who will be discussing this pertinent matter with. We have Dr. Mau Amis, who's founder and impact investment lead at African Center for Green Economy. We also have Janavi De Silva, who is director of programs at Green Matter. We have Vuyo Sotondoshe, who's director and founder of Women in Travel Consultancy. We have Kari Noble, who will be joining us in a second. She's the Assistant Youth Coordinator at the Sustainability Institute. And last but not least, we have Marianne Mashali, Project Lead at Global Youth Networks team. And this is under the United Nations Sustainable Development Solutions Network Youth Initiative. Welcome to all of you, and thank you so, so much for joining us in this discussion that we're going to have. Maybe let's start with you, Dr. Amis. Take us through yourself, your organization, and of course, how can we get more youth active as agents of sustainability? You're on mute, Dr. Mau.
Thanks, Tabang, and for the opportunity to share this panel with you. It's such a pleasure to be here. My name is Mau Amis, as has been said. I'm the founder of the African Center for Green Economy. We're a think tank that is based in Cape Town, ordinarily, but we don't think of ourselves as a think tank. We're a think-do tank, and as you can see, I'm joining this call from our hub in East Africa, Uganda, where we have operations here, but we generally work in the East and Southern Africa region.
Sure.
So the African Center for Green Economy, really, our mandate emanates from the fact that, like you said earlier on, this is a youthful continent. And what do we need to do to put youth at the forefront of driving change on the continent? And for me, I think that the opportunity is now to put young people at the forefront of leadership, of driving change on this continent. Actually, so when I was invited to join this panel, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not necessarily youth, but I'm a young person at heart, and the work that we do at the center really focuses on creating a platform for young people to bring the change that is required. Because, like I've said, the future should be in the hands of young people, because this is a youthful continent, but also that young people and women are going to be at the forefront of the challenges that climate change will bring about. So really for us, how do we take advantage of change this climate change, which is a catastrophe, into an opportunity for creating jobs for young people, but also to leverage some of the challenges that the continent faces. So at the African Center for Green Economy, we think of ourselves as this innovation hub where we actually synthesize ideas, but not only that, go out and test these ideas. And just to give you an example, what we're doing in East Africa at the moment, where I am located, we are working with the local municipality here, where we're taking organic waste from the city, and converting that organic waste using a technology called black soldier flies. And out of that, we're able to produce alternative proteins that feed into for making animal feeds. In the process, we're able to address waste management challenges. We're able to create jobs for women and for youth. But for me, it was important that we demonstrate how these things work in practice. I'm an academic, by training and so. But I think that you can really only start to make a change when you are on the ground, test how these business models work, and provide the leadership. So let me just stop here by saying that I think the future is for young people in Africa. And my challenge to young people is that you must take advantage of this transition, but be very prepared so that when opportunities knock at your door, you're ready to jump onto those opportunities. And don't be afraid to get your voices heard. The louder you shout, the better.
Sure, that's very profound. The louder you shout, the better. But it depends where you're shouting it, because they like these parties as well. So we need to make sure that it's fruitful places. Thank you so much, Dr. Miss. Genevieve? Mr. Silva, can you hear me? Okay, whilst we wait for Genevieve, perhaps we can go to Vuyo. Hi, Vuyo.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I think what was said was that we need to introduce ourselves, who we are and what we do. My name is Vuyo Sotondoshe. I'm a founder and director of Visa and Immigration Company. I'm based in Cape Town, but my business is an international business. I assist anyone anywhere in the world. That's what my business is about, and that's what I do. How do we get youth involved in bettering the world, the economy, and things? I think with the background coming from the township, I think if there can be more of these programs in the township where we get the youth involved to understand the importance of recycling, the importance of looking after the nature. Hello?
We can hear you, Vuyo. We can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, my chest is going down, so I keep reducing on the screen, but we are here. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. So I think for me, if we can have more of these programs back in the townships where we can teach more teach the youth more of the importance of recycling, of starting things on their own. I think this type of programs will assist with regards to that. What I've seen, there are children that are interested in this type of topics, but they do not know how to go about. I'm currently involved with a girl child program where I'm not going to say mentor, but I have now and again conversation with girls on how to take care of themselves and also how to be better as individuals. And with the assistance from programs like this, I think this will really make a difference in terms of teaching them more of what needs to be done in terms of taking care of recycling, taking care of the economy, bettering themselves. But this type of program, Tabang, they are very limited in the townships. They are really limited. But I think if we can have more of this, there will be more youth that will be involved in getting involved in this type of programs. That's all I can say.
Thank you so much. We look forward to engaging more around how we can actually integrate the youth in traveling and global exposure. So thank you very much for that. Marian?
Yes, thanks. So my name is Marian. I'm based in France and I worked as a volunteer at SDSN Youth. So like you said, SDSN Youth stems from an initiative which was launched by Ban Ki-moon and Jeffrey Sachs to create a network of universities, institutions to find solutions to the SDGs. And then there were young people, and this is clearly the topic of the conversation, who said, hey, this is all good, but why not include the youth in that? That's how SDSN Youth was created. And I'm in charge of the network as a project lead. Our role in terms of sustainability is to raise awareness across countries and region through the networks about the SDGs. at universities mainly, but we also have programs where we help young people to find solutions to the SDGs and give them the tool to create and design their solutions. For instance, we have a program in terms of urbanism where we have all the students who can apply, and they are being connected to cities to implement the idea they have for sustainable urbanism. And to your questions on what does it mean to have the youth at the forefront of sustainability, for me it's important because youth is the future. So you can't build a sustainable future by excluding the person who are going to live that future. So that's the main thing. And in terms of what the youth can do, they can engage stakeholders by raising issues. That's exactly what's happening in terms of climate change. And they can be involved through being part of NGOs, being part of initiatives, but it can also be when they are part of a public or private institution, by saying within the enterprise, for instance, hey, this is those challenges which are today's and tomorrow challenges, and this is where we can work on to improve. So I think this is about the message the youth is bringing to the table.
Absolutely. Very critical to discuss how can the youth as active agents be used to stabilize social issues in the economy. Thank you very much for that. Silva?
Hi, thank you so much. Sorry about that. So I might have to correct you. I'm actually recently departed from Green Matter. So I'm no longer the director of programs at Green Matter, although I really did love that role. I've now started a program called the Impact Practice, and what we do, our activities are threefold. We work on leadership development and entrepreneurship development for the impact sectors, as well as research and ecosystem building for green and well-being economies. So essentially, our focus is working with the youth and early career professionals in order to help them make the most of their impact in the space. So one of our key leverage points is to offer these professionals and entrepreneurs in these sectors, especially the sustainability and social impact sectors. We do this through helping them catalyze opportunities for their future and opening doors for themselves. We really do work across the board with multiple organizations that help to open up these doors by designing programs with them, coaching, training, pitching sessions, pitching dens. We sort of are a full suite operation to really just catalyze and unlock opportunities for the youth who potentially are innovators, who have brilliant ideas, who are potential future leaders in these sectors. So our goal is really focused on making the most of their biggest long-term impact that they could potentially fulfill. And the premise that I would like to throw in, you asked in the beginning, is we really run along the view that a deep awareness of your personal mission statement and your true values will ultimately lead you to your greatest legacy and will help you to solve the biggest environmental and social problems of our time. And I must say that in all the years I've been doing this work, there are very, very few people who I've met that have written down their personal mission statement for the life that they want to live and the impact they want to have on the world.
Sure.
So thank you. Thank you for having me.
You know, De Silva, you're really changing the narrative of this discussion. I think a lot of the times people have an identity crisis because we haven't had a chance, given ourselves a chance to write that mission statement. And you're so right in saying no one is born without a mission to add value to balance the ecosystem of this life. So thank you for that reminder, which then brings us to you, Dr. Amis. In your experience and of course in your industry, what do you think are the challenges that the youth face?
Thanks, Thabang, and good to see you, Genevieve. We've known you for many years. Look, I think that young people face a lot of challenges. One of it is that not many institutions, actors, and so on actually are willing to give young people the opportunity to work at the forefront of bringing this change. A typical young person is going to come out of university with no experience, with no way of stepping into the industry. So what that requires for those of us who are already out there to provide young people with the opportunity to learn and fail as they develop themselves. But unfortunately, in my experience, I don't see that. I give you we are, like I said, a young-led organization. All the guys who work for me are fresh graduates who have just come out of university and so on. Yet we deliver work that is world-class. And it's because we're able to take the risk. It's very painful, but we were able to take the risk and say, identify the potential and walk young people along the journey. But I think that young people face a lot of barriers of entry where the industry, the sectors are not willing to give them an opportunity. And then for me, I think that's really one of the key challenges that young people face. And then obviously, referring to Genevieve around the issue of having a personal vision is that there is a need to develop the capacity of young people. I always tell young people that you must be well prepared so that when someone gives you the opportunity to step forward, you're ready. So there's the issue of lack of capacity, for example. And to be honest with you, our education system that is not necessarily preparing young people for these new opportunities.
100%.
When I was at university studying zoology, and everyone was like, what are you doing? You should be studying medicine and engineering and accounting and so on, because young people are thought that the opportunities that exist are in these traditional sectors. And then these traditional sectors get crowded and you find high levels of unemployment.
100%. Before we go to you, Marion, let me start with Vuyo. In your opening statement, you said the first thing was, I'm from the township, and there are not much access to opportunities or access to information. Please take me through that, just the day-to-day struggles, because I think politics of the stomach, politics of the stomach is a critical thing to discuss, because instead of focusing on your dreams and the personal statement or mission that Genevieve spoke about, they're hustling to put food on the table. So can you take me through some of the challenges that young people are going through in the townships, and how can they get out of it? How did you get out of it?
Okay, so mostly people from the township, they either raised by a single parent or they're raised by their grandparents, right? And it's not just one child in a 2-bedroom house. There's plus minus 8 of them, right? And in that house, they're only dependent on a social grant that is coming through for the grandmother, social grant of 1,580 for 8 children. And even if there are discussion of this type of programs that they can better their lives, but those programs, they don't come to the township, they will be in the CPD. They will be at a place where they have to take 3 taxis in order to get into this type of discussion, or where they can get this type of opportunities. And I think because even in the township, I'll say everyone fights for themselves. So there's not a place where you can say, I assist where I can, like I assist with their CV set up where they have to apply. applying for their resume, submitting their CVs, all those things, those small things I can assist with them. But it's not just about that. How do then they get to town to submit their CVs? How do they get to town to submit this type of programs? There's no financial assistance in terms of those. So for me, what I have done in all my experiences of being, I didn't just own my business. At first, I was working for companies before, and what assisted me in terms of starting up my business is to take the money, like a payout, a pension fund or provident fund that was paid out of me to start up my business, which at that time it was only 40,000 Rand. And that's when I said, you know what, I have so much experience and in terms of visa and immigration, I'm going to start up my own business. And in my business as well, what I do train children from the township to assist me with paperwork, pay them for that type of work. But that is not enough, because not all the time I need their assistance. So you coming from a home that a child, there's 5 children, 7 children in a house that there's only one income. And that type of programs that can maybe better their lives, they're not actually coming to the townships or to the Cape Place, but they rather kept in the CBD. So I think that's where the struggles are coming in for these children. And then that's when they end up not able to get to this type of programs, because financially they're unable to do them. And there's no assistance in terms of that as well. The platform, the conversation in the township is very limited. It's truly limited. Everything we do is it's technology prompt. They don't have access to data so that they can do the stuff. This is much easier doing the Zoom, the Teams, the video calls, but that also requires one to have data in order to be able to afford it, to be able to connect to it. So that's what the challenges are in the townships. So I am grateful that I was able to get out of it, but there's still thousands, many children that are still in the dark, and I think they might not be able to get out of the current situation that is happening in the townships.
100%. But in a crisis, there's always an opportunity. We just need 100%. To explore exactly what opportunity, because a lot of the spaces that we're in, whether it's townships or smart cities or urban areas, there's always waste. There's always opportunities of recycling. We'll explore that as we progress in our conversation. Marion, perhaps you can tell us, what are the opportunities that the youth can actively be involved in, particularly in discussion to sustainability? You mentioned earlier on, you started as a volunteer. How can we create an appetite for young people to start off as volunteers, to start off, participating in discussions such as climate change, waste management? What is happening in the world around social issues where they can be active participants?
I think the first step, and this is what we do as DSN Youth, is raising awareness, because that's exactly what you said, Vuyo, about access and learning. Because sometimes when you come from social, like low-income family, you're thinking about first bringing food to the table, and you maybe not thinking, you don't have access to drinkable water. So you have all a perspective which is completely different. And where in developed countries you're thinking about recycling, in low-income countries you're thinking about how I get access first to it before recycling it.
Sure.
So I think the first thing, and it's up to also governments to go on it, but it's to educate people on sustainability and what does it mean for the future. And this is how myself I get involved into DSN Youth, is because I realized by growing up that things were changing even in developed countries, and that I couldn't close my eyes to what was happening, and that I wanted to change that, and to have and like Genevieve said, what was my statement, what impact I wanted to do. And then once you've raised awareness about the SDGs, about the sustainability, and I think the important thing is to be able to relate to people. It's no use to speak to people about, for instance, climate change when people don't have access to water. speak to them about their issues, what they can do about their problems. And this is where sustainability comes in.
Appreciate those echoes, because sometimes, and we're coming back to you, Janavi, where, you know, it comes back to that agency where young people need to realize more that if there's a problem, it means you have the power to fix it. So just going back to you, Janavi, how can we better support youth-owned businesses? I mean, there's a lot of young people that have done amazing things, really amazing things, creating different products that speak towards sustainability, especially in rural areas, you know, water reticulation, purification treatments. Some are in agriculture, some have opened restaurants and so forth. But, you know, it's that 1%. How can we make it bigger? So what kind of support can we offer to youth-owned businesses and to youth-based development as well?
Great question. I think it's a very loaded topic, and it's an enormous question to answer in a short while. But I think very, very briefly, I think there are a few things that come into play. Firstly,
Yes.
There needs to be early enough exposure to business concepts and entrepreneurship for the youth.
Sure.
They definitely need to be exposed very early on, and there needs to be this proclivity to want to solve problems in their community. So a lot of the entrepreneurs I work with, they already identify a problem that they think is worthwhile solving, and all we really do is facilitate them in understanding whether or not that would constitute a feasible business and how you could actually shape it into a feasible business. So if there's support like that for entrepreneurs who already are have the forethought, to actually want to solve these problems, even if it is, I find especially the kind of Kasipreneurs or the rural entrepreneurs, they're the ones who have the most innovative ideas because they're seeing problems on a daily basis right in their communities.
100%.
And they have the real motivation to make a change and to do something to better that situation. So to be able to open doors for people like that by providing that kind of support. And the other thing that I think is key to this is creating an ecosystem where there's an open pathway. So we recently did some research for the water sector in South Africa where we tried to understand this, like what are the pathways involved in opening up youth entrepreneurship and getting people to uncover these opportunities, and what are the different role players. And it really boils down to an ecosystem of role players that can be coordinated in the ways that they work together. And those people would really just need to find warm bodies, so to speak, that are interested and willing and driven to make a change in their communities. And I don't think there's a shortage of that in South Africa. That I think, and also pointing out what Marion said regarding, whether it's a first world or third world problem, I think we in South Africa are at an advantage because we kind of have a blank slate to work with here. We are third world, we have a lot of potential, and we can shape South Africa in the way that we want it, that is more equitable, that is more inclusive and greener, for the lack of a better term, then what these established economies really are having to retrofit their economies. We've got people who are exceptionally talented and exceptionally driven to make a difference, whether you're in a township, rural, or city setting. You'll find them everywhere.
100%. That's very true. And once again, you're going back to that inherent value that young people can offer. All we need is someone to tap into that, and this is where organizations like Impact Practice really speak to that. Dr. Amos, maybe you can come in here. We saw in South Africa the president of the country in the beginning of his tenure launched what we call the YES program, which was mainly driving job creation, particularly with young people, of course, through investment opportunities. Do you think job creation or increasing the employment portfolio is more sustainable than creating youth-based businesses or youth-based entrepreneurs. Perhaps you can give a comparative analysis between the two. You're on mute. Dr. Mao.
Sorry about that. Thank you for that. And I think that both Marion and Genevieve have already touched on some aspect of it. But I think that Genevieve particularly raises an important issue around the ecosystem. That in South Africa, what we have found out that there is a completely dysfunctional ecosystem. And I'm talking about the innovation ecosystem, where an idea moves from an R&D all the way to commercialization. Because if you look at who actually funds these ideas at every stage of this value chain, there are different actors. And oftentimes what happens is that these actors are actually not talking to each other. You'll find at university, there's research portfolios, there's a lot of money put into developing research concepts and ideas. But once it moves to a stage around how do you deploy these innovations, the R&D funding is no longer available, and oftentimes those ideas are so early stage that they fall off the cracks, and it's called the value of death. We actually wrote a report around that, looking at the water crisis in Cape Town and why South Africa, that is very well endowed in terms of research, is unable to solve its water crisis because the ecosystem is dysfunctional. The different actors are not talking to each other. And it applies in the same concept to how young people oftentimes fall through the cracks. And because there are no actors that help them transition either from the internship program, like we're talking about, the YES program, into permanent jobs at the workplace, or even just those young people who start businesses for intermediary institutions to help them access finance, test their business models, and so on. And Tabang, you'll be shocked at how much opportunities actually exist in South Africa in terms of even the capability of young people. You know, in 2015-16, we did a program called the New Economy Accelerator in Kuruman, of all places. You know, Kuruman literally is in the middle of nowhere, you know?
Sure.
But we found some of the most innovative ideas.
Dr. Mao? I think we've lost you. Oh, there we go. Now you're back.
Yeah, sorry.
Now you're back.
Sorry about that. No,
Sure.
I think the point I was trying to say is that so oftentimes we think the rural community doesn't have the right skills and so on, but there's a lot of gems on the ground. And so, but what we find is that, you know, everyone is looking for sexy projects. The YES program talks that they want to create 500,000 jobs and so on. But really, the program of creating jobs is a painful process. You know, for an institution to promise that they're going to create 10 jobs, it's very painful. No one wants to do those things that don't have statistics. So you find sexy projects thrown here and there.
Yeah.
Huge budgets. But if you actually track down how much impact these programs have created, there's no traction. So I don't know, I mean, in a long-winded way, I hope that responds to your question. I can get passionate and just go on a tangent.
Please do. It's so important to do that. And I love that you termed it as sexy, because what meets the eye sometimes is not what society needs, right? Marion and Genevieve, maybe you want to extend on that, on what Dr. Miss has added. Marion, you can go first.
Okay, I don't have the expertise on South Africa, so
right.
but I totally agree with the ecosystem. I think it's definitely something which is sometimes missing, and we're all going on the big, the flashy thing. When it's not the flashy that makes a difference. It's often small project and putting the money with small, for instance, small credit to women. And there is also something which we have not touched, but I think lots of people spoke about microfinance. but there is also micro insurance with those small insurance program, which makes a difference because once you've taken a risk, you're exposed. And
Exactly.
I think it was Vuyo was saying that in the township, it's just one income for all family. And when you're starting a business, you're taking the risk of starting that business and making that it comes suddenly maybe a liability if you lose it and your whole family is no longer protected. So that's where solutions like micro insurance can make a difference also. And it's a tool which is often overlooked.
Absolutely. Thank you. Genevieve, and then I'll get Vuyo to come in. Genevieve?
Yeah, I definitely, I want to second that. And I think, you know, I love everyone's passion and enthusiasm when talking about this because it's such a critical issue and it's really not being addressed at a big enough scale, I think. And, you know, I mentioned earlier, you have a personal mission and you get this personal mission statement going and then you have this vision for your impact and you have sort of a coordinated way of going forward. And then you scale it up to a company mission statement and then a sectoral mission statement and then a national strategy, let's say. And I recently worked on the biodiversity human capital development strategy with a whole bunch of stakeholders and role players in the sector. And you see the importance of every role player or key stakeholders getting onto the same vehicle and deciding a destination together. And then you have everyone sort of playing their role in opening up a road for people to start creating change and making impact. And really the whole purpose of an ecosystem, it's not really to coordinate, it's to open up roads, it's to open up pathways and to clear the debris for the actual participants involved who are wanting to make a difference. And I think if there's a way that people can see it as that, is that if you're looking at different, you know, associations or sector-based sort of programs or partnerships, and this is something that we did a lot with Green Matter as well when I was working with Green Matter, is you want to be able to create a place where people are able to discuss their objectives, to come to agreements about objectives at a national scale, and then act in a coordinated fashion to open up pathways, to catalyze opportunities, and to really create the change that you're looking for, so that people on a grassroots level, like Mal mentioned, these people who have these brilliant ideas, who are sort of falling through the cracks, those people have a way to enter into this sort of wide open space where they're being supported.
100%. Thank you very much for that. Vuyo, I just have one more question to you before we enter our closing remarks. Are you still available? I see your screen is off. Are you still here?
Yes,
okay,
I am. It seems that my phone is flat. I'm so sorry. I had load shedding, so I just came back from load shedding.
No, that's fine, Vuyo. Just one last question to you. How do you think we can change the perspective or perception of success amongst young people? Because now I think youth are no longer driven by passion and, you know, wanting to see their communities better to some respect or degree, but it's all about this ideal success. You know, I need to be something or to be someone, or a sense of belonging. How do you think we can conscientize our youth more to be active participants in developing their communities first? Because before you get to a regional economy, you start with the community. What are the basic things that we can do to get them passionate about community development? Yeah, go ahead.
I think for me, mentorship, they need mentors. They definitely they will need mentors. They need people that are interested in bettering them as well, as much as we want them to be better, but good example mentors will really matter in their lives in terms of pushing them, because they might have, they do have the ideas of what they want to do with themselves, but they do not know where to go. They do not know who to speak to, you know. So if they can be a Dr. Amis, they can be Genevieve, they can be people that are passionate about youth, people that are passionate about bettering the lives of the youth. If they can be people like that, that would be the first point of a way forward for the youth. I think mentorship, good
100%.
mentorship, people that are interested.
Thank you very much for that. On your closing remarks, please can you answer what is, I'm trying to frame this in a better manner, what quote, life quote, work quote, whatever, or what quote or word or statement would you give to young people, around this life and moving forward? So please integrate that as you do your closing remarks. Just a quote for young people, and also your closing remarks regarding them being active participants or frontiers to sustainable development. We can start with you, Dr. Mao.
Thank you. I'm laughing because I have no quote that comes into my mind.
Okay.
But
wait, just one word to make it spontaneous.
Yes. The world is your oyster. Is there something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, just I have oftentimes lived with the principle of be out there, be daring, and no one should stop you. And it has opened so many doors. I always tell young people, if you look at me, I went to a school under a mango tree. My household never had running water or electricity, but here we are. No one can stop you if you're so determined, if you're passionate about what you want to do. But the key thing I wanted to say, particularly to South African youth, is that the youth are the majority in the country and in the continent. And so what that means is that the onus is on young people to provide leadership. So there's no outside actor who is going to come to make your life better. It's how do you organize yourself as an individual? How do you build a critical coalitions, whether within your community, within your associations that you work with, to build scale? Ultimately, no one is going to come out from elsewhere. I don't want to go into politics, but we all know what's going on in South Africa. We want a young president in South Africa. Sorry to say that. But 2 weeks ago, I was at the Africa Climate Week in Gabon, and convened by the UNFCCC, which is the United Nations Framework for Climate Change. And it is incredible to see how much leadership young people are actually providing at that level. Yeah. And so when I talk about it, that's what I talk about coalitions. Like, how do you build coalitions within your community, within the country, between countries and so on? Because the ecosystems have to plug in so that those building blocks can fall into place. Because we can't do these things on our own. It's a bigger fight that requires collective action for us to hold hands to deliver the outcomes that we require.
Yeah.
And thank you very much. That was Dr. Mao, a Miss Founder and Impact Investment Lead at Africa Center for Green Economy. Thank you very much. Genevieve, can we have your parting words?
Gosh, yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, Mal. I'm not really prepared to give a quote, but I will say, I'll echo what Mal has said. I think for the youth to participate, they need to trust in their own ability, and they need to be able to really ask critical questions of the leaders today. And that does sound very cliched, but really what I mean is, don't take what you see at face value, and don't think that because it is how it is, that it's always been like this, that's how it's going to always be. I think there's a time for radical change, and I think the youth don't know their own power.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Did you find your quote? Oh, okay. I thought you found your quote. I tuned to
it's weird. I actually just found this online the other day, and I shared it with some friends. The quote was, "Be strong and remember who you are." That's it.
Yeah.
That was so difficult, Genevieve. There we go. You got it. Thank you so much. That was Genevieve De Silva, ladies and gentlemen, Director of Programs at Impact Practice, not even programs, she's now the founder, I believe. Thank you very much. We're looking forward to be in touch with you. Over to you, Vuyo.
Sure. I think Dr. Amos and Genevieve, they actually just covered anything. It's really up to the youth to believe in themselves and to know there's more into the world than their backgrounds. Again, I mean, me saying that I am a product of that, and it's a matter of pushing ourselves. It's really a matter of just one pushing themselves and knowing that there's more into life. So that's all I can say. The world is an oyster. I think that's what Dr. Amos said.
The world is your oyster. Thank you very much. That was Vuyo Sondoshe, Director and Founder at Women in Travel Consultancy. We look forward to being in touch with you and also perhaps rendering your services as well, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Marion?
Yeah, I do have a quote because I love it. I love this
Awesome.
one.
Thank you, Marion.
This one is by Robert Kennedy, and he said that
Yes.
some men see things as they are and say why, and I dream of things that never were and say why not. And I think that's exactly that. Think your solutions, and what Genevieve said, don't take things at face value, question everything. And to say on his quote, I don't know if it's mine or not, but I would add that some people are dreamer, some people are doers, and right now what we need is dreamer who are doers. It's not just saying why not and dreaming it. It's saying why not, what can I do to change it?
100%. Thank you so much. And you are an example of that, who saw a problem as a young person and got into the spaces and changed it. Well, I think I have one, and mine is let the youth be the spark that ignites the flame of sweeping change.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know steal it,
That is
Dr. Mao.
powerful.
Steal it along, please, but don't forget to quote me. Thank you so much for your time and your contributions.
Thank you.
They truly do matter. And thank you so much for encouraging young people to realize that their voice matters. A lot of them come from broken backgrounds, and there's different levels of brokenness. There's financial deprivation, there's emotional deprivation, there's spiritual deprivation. Some of them, like, Dr. Mao, you have an incredible experience. Like you said, you went to school under a mango tree, but look at you today. There are some young people who don't understand the context of their pain and the context of their journey. And it's very important to engage with our experiences and to teach them that everything that happens for a reason, and to find that reason later in life. So thank you so much for the knowledge that you have provided. I wish you all of the best, and may the world be exposed to your light. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks,
Tabaro, for an excellent
Thank you.
good video.
You're the only one that told me. You're the only one that told me, Dr. Mao. So thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm the only gentleman here. Thank you.
You're the only gentleman here, the rose amongst the thorns. Thank you so much. Take
Well
good care.
done. Well done, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. I wish to remind all stakeholders involved, particularly our sponsors, CSIR, IDC, and the United Nations Global Compact, for ensuring that the Sustainability Summit is as successful as it has been for the past couple of days. We just want to say thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for the contributions that you have made. Please do continue to check our 3D exhibition. It is still live. Engage with our exhibitors, and we look forward to announcing our prize winners tomorrow. Today has been quite a challenging day, quite thought-provoking for us to think about these issues. You know, it doesn't matter up until it really affects us at a, micro level. Wangari Maathai and other leaders would say, you don't need a diploma to plant a tree. You don't need a diploma to start your own, food garden or invest in agriculture or even energy. We had the likes of, David Lipschitz and David Nichols, who say we can take the power back in this country. We don't have to go through a lot of socio-economic challenges. And thank you so much for tuning in. We concluded our last panel being young people at the forefront of sustainability. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it concludes day 2 of the Sustainability Summit. Please continue to add your comments on our social media platforms, and we're more than happy to receive and engage with them. We look forward to also hearing your recommendations of how we can be better. Tomorrow, it's our last day, and we are talking the Vision Net Zero on waste. We're talking sustainable transport and mobility. Last but not least, we know that water scarcity is becoming a huge issue. So we'll be talking about conservation and water resources. Without further ado, we say the sky is the limit. And it's not only the limit, but it's the starting point of greater things. Thank you very much for tuning in today, and we are signing out. See you same time, same place, right online on this platform. Take care.